Well, if you're like me, the last time Bonnie was on, you wanted more, and we have more. So I'm delighted that Bonnie Krebs is here with us from Art Impressions, and she's going to show us more.
I have so much more. Do we have like all day? Because...
Almost, yeah.
Okay, then.
So she's going to go step by step, and so come play with us. And we have 3 new stamp sets, and Bonnie's going to show us how to make magic with them. So, go ahead.
The cool thing about this is that it's all the same technique. So every time we come out with something new, you already know how to stamp it because everything follows the same rules.
But you're still going to show us.
I'm still going to show you. Oh, yes, because people can't believe how easy it is, even though they see it.
And we've got the garden wagon set and the bunny set, so cute little guys.
Perfect for Easter.
And the bird set, yes.
And the
birds. Very
birds.
Sweet.
Yes, people love these little characters and they want to kind of add another dimension to these little images. And they're little mini watercolor paintings. That's what they are.
And then as usual, they are cling rubber and you get a variety of images. And you're going to get started. You're going to start with the wagon, right?
Yes, we're going to start with the wagon. So everything starts this way, and that starts with the basic image. So we only need our watercolor paper, our water, so this is the water over here, a brush, and then we need our markers.
And these, again, are the Marvy markers that we're now carrying because of Bonnie.
You are going to love these markers. They are my favorite, and I've tried a bunch of different ones, and I always come back to these because they're wet enough, but they're not too wet. And you have to get that sequence stamping. So you have to get that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sequence of stamping. And if your markers don't give you that impression, 5 impressions, they're too dry.
And I said Marvy markers, and they are manufactured by Marvy, but they're called the La Plume markers. And we're carrying the colors that Bonnie uses.
Yes.
So that's, it's not 500 of them, it's
There's
about a dozen.
About a dozen, yeah. And you will use those same colors over and over again. And especially when you get started, these little paintings are small, and so you don't want to overload them with color anyway. You don't want to put every color of the rainbow in there. So keep them really, really simple. Okay, so let's get started with our basic image. That's always the starting point, is to ink the basic image, and that would be the little wagon. So there are 2 ways that everything starts with these 2 colors. So this is sepia, and it's sort of the color of dirt. It's the color of outside, like tree bark and rocks and all of that.
Here's your dirt color.
Here's your dirt color, and it's sort of an ugly cap, like nobody would actually pick this up and buy it, but it's a really important color, and you need this color. This is called sepia. Trust me, I'll show you more later.
Gotcha.
This is called African violet, and it's a cool blue. So it's not a warm blue like a teal, it's a cool blue. And it's the color that you would see if you were looking out your window and it was snowing on the ground, the shadows under the trees. A shadow will be blue or purple, and that's what this color is. So things that are white and shiny start with blue. Things that are colored, old and rustic, start with sepia.
Interesting.
And one more.
Okay.
Things that are an antique white or a galvanized metal, those start with both colors. So let's do this little wagon in that galvanized color, okay? And by the way, you can't get it with a gray. It has to be a combination of these 2 colors. These are like the magic colors, they really are. And it's mostly because of the sepia, because it's more of a 3-dimensional color. It's really not a color. It's the outside, okay? So let's ink this. We're gonna start by inking this basic image.
And again, you're doing the side of your brush, right?
Correct. Okay. We're doing the side. And we're just going to stamp it off. So we're going to just take a piece of scrap paper now, and we're going to stamp this, this little wagon off onto another piece of paper. Okay? Now we're going to ink it with the magic color. This is the magic color sepia.
Oh, so you did the African violet first.
Yes, the African violet first. And this is going to give us a more of a 3-dimensional look. And it's all about creating a watercolor look. That's what we're going for. We don't want a stamped image. We don't want something that looks like it's a stamped image. We want a watercolor painting. Okay? Okay. So now we've stamped that on here. Now the next step is to dip our brush in water and pull the color from the lines. That's always the first step. So we're dipping our brush.
Paper over.
I keep putting me in the sweet spot.
I'm trying. It's difficult.
It is, because I'm always moving it around too. Okay, so start where that color would be the darkest, and that would be underneath this lip, underneath here, on the sides,
Always the outside.
Always the outside. Never cross over the lines. So don't drag your brush over the lines. You want to stay in the lines and then pull this color over. And you can see that three-dimensional gray color that we're getting by combining those two markers.
It's astounding how much that does.
It's really magic.
Wow.
It really, really is. It is so fun, and nobody would guess that it's a stamp unless you choose to tell them, and you don't need to.
So it's okay to withhold information?
It's okay to withhold,
okay.
Absolutely. You can withhold information, and just the more that you play with these, the more that you use them, the more successful you're going to be, and you will not believe, actually you won't believe how well your first project turns out, and then you're just going to get better and better.
Sweet.
Okay, so let's go on from here, and let's put a little character in here. So we've got a little bunny. He's so cute in the little bunny set, and it looks like he's just kind of peeking out of something. So let's just put him in here. And to make sure that we get him in the right place, we're going to use a little positioner. So this is just a little L bar, and it comes with a little acrylic plate, just like this, and it's a positioning tool, and it's really a necessity for these little things. It's easy to carry with you. It's super quick and easy. So here's how it works. You're going to ink the stamp. I'm going to ink this bunny all up.
You use the gray for that?
And I'm using the gray because he's going to be pastel.
Okay.
So if he's a darker brown, we're going to use the sepia. If he's white, we're going to use the blue.
Okay.
But he's sort of a light gray, so we're going to use that gray color.
So you're nesting that right inside the
Right
L,
inside. Yep.
And we can hardly see it.
And you can hardly see it, but
enough.
we can see it enough on here to make sure that he's in that basket. So we can position him in here, in the wagon, in the container.
Okay, then that holds.
Then this comes back over, and this is removed, and now we're going to ink it again. We're going to ink this again.
That was good. You moved it.
I moved that up into the camera. I know.
That was really good.
I'm learning as we go. I'm just the most impatient stamper, so I'm always like, there we go. So now he's perfectly aligned in the little wagon, and he's good to go.
How fast, nice.
So now the next step with these little critters is we want to darken the eye. This is so important. Right. I can't say this enough times because when you're stamping on this watercolor paper, it's hard to get these little tiny details.
So go with the black.
So go with your fine tip and actually the sepia. It's the magic color again. So that sepia color, and get that in there really dark. See how that pops him out?
Yes.
Okay, so now dip your brush in water.
And squeeze it.
And squeeze it. And see, it's almost flat. It's almost flat. And now we're going to pull this color out. Start where it's the darkest, and that would be at the sides. And just pull this out, the color out. Always leave the face the lightest.
Right.
Always leave that little face the lightest. That's going to lighten up the character and give him life. And we're going to add a little more color to him later, but let's go on now with the wagon. And let's put some more stuff in here. That's the fun part, is doing the foliages.
Okay.
The stuff.
Now you're going back to the first two sets. We talked about that the flower set and the foliage set are your basics.
Yes.
So we're going back to that to create pieces to go inside.
Yes,
right?
yes, and that's how it works. So whenever we come out with a new set, you have new elements in that set, but to complete the project, you still need these. These are the common stamps that are in everything, and we don't want to duplicate them. And we get asked that all the time. Why don't you just include everything in the set that goes with it?
Why don't you just include everything in the set?
Thank you for asking. I'm glad you did, because now I can explain that to you. Because it would be duplicated 100 times, and every set would have a grass, every set would have a vine, and really you don't need that many. You just need 2.
And you don't want to have people paying for the same thing twice.
That's right. We'd rather give you something new and different. So we will always come back to those basic sets. We call them the staples or the basics, but it's the way to start. And you're building a collection. Okay, so let's start with that large grass. This is the large grass, and I'm just going to actually add a little Post-it note, if I have one here.
Do you need a Post-it note?
Do you have a?
I don't. John, do you have a Post-it note?
Perfect. You don't have to do this, you can kind of guess, but for those of you who want to make sure that you're stamping in the right place, let's just cover this little wagon, just like that. So now we can get this grass in here. So I'm going to ink this now with the green. This is an olive green, number 15. And remember, when you're stamping, it's a sequence of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we can remove this, and we've got all this little grass in here.
Let's get close to see how that overlaps. And they're just a little tiny bit next to each other.
Yes,
right?
it's sort of like you're walking. So let me just show you that, because that's really important. So when you go to stamp, and this is the large grass, so when you go to ink this, instead of this, we never want to do this. It's too uniform. And what happens when you add water to that is you'll get a nice green cloud behind it and the definite image of the stamp. And that's not what we want.
Okay.
We want this 3-dimensional look. And when we get it by walking it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, on top of each other.
And I think you're just moving it like a 32nd of an inch.
Yes.
It's very little.
Very little. And the best way to describe it is walking. And you can come the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So you can walk to the left, you can walk to the right.
Yes.
Okay, stand up.
For those left-handed people, you can go left to right, and right-handed, go right to left. Or you can kind of walk in one place. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you want to just put that in a little container, so it's cute like that. You're just turning it a little bit.
Yeah, just almost in an arc. Okay.
Yes, it's so important that you get that sequence of stamping over and over again. I can't tell you how important that is, because that is what makes a difference on these images and makes them look like little paintings. So now let's add our water to it, and we're just going to pull this color up and out, just like this. Drag all this color up. So we've got our little grasses in there, and let's put some flowers in here. Flowers too are in a repeat, and that just means we stamp them more than 3 times. And I like to say 5 because people tend to remember that. So stamping and adding water. It's just that simple.
You just magically got flowers.
We just magically, yes. And when we add water to it, see the dark comes forward and the light fades back. And we have the cutest little picture. Isn't it cute?
That's darling.
So let's add some grass now to the bottom.
Yeah, because you don't have complete wheels.
No, we don't have complete wheels. And the reason those are off of there is so you're not fighting with those lines when you're adding the grasses. So you can use your large grasses in here. We can do a mix. So we can add the large, maybe some in here like this. And then let's add some of the small grass too. So ink it and just walk it. Just walk it along like that.
Boy, it just nests right in there.
It does. It's almost like magic, and honestly, it works. It's that easy. And then just pull that color up and out, because you're actually using a brush stroke here. You're pulling this color up. You're not confined to the size of the stamp. You know, that little, this little area right here. So when you add water to this, you're not stuck in this area, just in here. You want to pull that color, see, up and out.
And from the bottom up.
And from the bottom up. Pull those strokes up and out. And see how natural that looks?
Yes.
Looks so natural. This will never look natural up here. And you can't turn it. You can't go any other direction. And it's going to be impossible to make it look good. But it's the same stamp, same paper, same brush.
And I notice each time you're not stopping, even when you're doing your brush strokes or you're doing your water or your stamping, you're just moving through it.
Moving through it,
so
yes.
Don't drive yourself crazy. Yeah.
Yes, be brave. This is the most forgiving way to watercolor. And honestly, watercolor is probably one of the hardest things to do. Yeah. And people who watercolor, they're really good at it because they do it all the time. And
but you don't have to.
You don't have to with this.
Way.
No, this is great for crafters because they do a lot of different things. And this is something that you can pick up and do it in 15 minutes and be good at it.
Wow. Wow.
Super, super fun.
Now there are a couple of pieces in with the wagon. So
let's use them.
Little guys. You want to take it out?
Let's take them out. Let's use them. Let's do it because these are also really cute. And with these, you get a right and a left. So that's really cool. There's a wild grass like this.
So that's going to be longer?
Okay. This is a longer one, yes. And the thing about stamps too is that you can use whichever parts you want to use. So you don't have to use the whole thing. You can use just bits and pieces.
You know, I appreciate you mentioning that because I wouldn't think of that. I would think, okay, here's the stamp.
How do I get it to fit in here?
Yeah,
yes, right. And remember, you're building a painting, so you're building an image, and that sometimes requires little elements, small pieces, and it makes it look more like a painting if you don't use the whole thing.
Okay.
And don't make it look so uniform. Okay, so we can make this all green, or we can add some color to it. We can do that too. So let's add a little color to the tops, just like this. And let's just ink a few of these. And let's just put it in here.
Oh, sweet.
Isn't that cute?
Look at that. Wow.
And we don't need to stamp that necessarily 5 times because sometimes you might just want a few.
I love that curve.
Really and it's really nice that there's a right and a left because you don't have to turn it and you don't have to fight with that curve.
That's nice.
And the thing about the rules, you know, let me just say, is that rules are made to be broken.
Oh, wait a minute. You just told us stamp 5 times. Now you're saying 3.
No, I'm saying you don't have to. But what I found too is that repetition and rules build confidence. And once you have your confidence, then you can go on and you're not scared.
And you can break them.
And you can go on and break them. That's exactly right. And you can do your own. And you know what's really cool is that your own style comes out. It always comes out. And even if you think you're not an artist, your own style will come out and you will be able to do some amazing things.
Okay, now what are you doing?
Now I'm doing the left side.
Okay, and you're still just doing a couple of them?
I'm just doing a couple. You know, that's up to you. You can put as many in here as you want to, and maybe just a couple.
Oh, sweet.
So more like an accent.
Yeah.
And you can do that too. So you can do a more of an abstract look like this, or you could come in and put a little highlight or a little accent stamp. Let's do this up in the top again too. Let's put some of this in the wagon.
Okay.
It is just the funnest thing. And what you come out with is always just something so cute that nobody would ever guess.
Now, are you going to go back and add water to those?
Yep.
Okay.
We're going to go back and add water, but we don't have to rush because it's already dry.
Oh, okay.
So you can come back, you can walk away, and you can come back.
Really?
And just add your water.
Okay, so you went ahead and did all the greens at the same time, and you came back with the pinks.
And then I came back with the pinks. Exactly.
Isn't that just charming?
Isn't that cute?
Wow.
Let's add a little shadow underneath because when this wagon is sitting on the grass like that, it's going to have a little shadow. Remember what color I said the shadow was? Blue or purple.
Right.
So let's take some of that blue, and this is that African violet color, and we're going to put it on our palette. And we're going to take some of this color.
Which can be a craft sheet.
Craft sheet.
You happen to have a piece of acrylic.
I have a piece of acrylic here, but you can use any shiny surface at all.
You could probably use an acrylic block.
You can.
Okay.
Absolutely. Use your acrylic block. And take that color because we don't want to go direct to the paper. We're going to go from the palette. So dip my brush in water, pull some of that color, and now I'm just going to put a blue section under here.
Oh, wow.
And see how that adds more dimension.
And you went right over.
Right over. Yep.
Oh, sweet.
Right over. You can take a little of this color now too and go underneath here. And we can add some shadow to this. You will get braver and braver.
I was going to say that feels scary.
You know what? It looks really scary. And people are always scared to do this, but you will be surprised at how soon you are willing to tackle this stuff because it is really, really easy.
Okay, so toughen up, huh?
Toughen up. Don't be scared. Just take charge. Okay?
Now, you've got the bunny in there, but we also have these sweet little birds.
Let's put some birds in.
How would we do that? How would we
do that? How could we
Bonnie?
do that? Let's take one of these little guys that's flying, and let's just put one of these in here. And we can stamp these with a light color as well. So let's just take one of these out.
Now, just one thing. When you do the stamp, okay, so take a brand new one. Now, you take off the backing?
Yes, correct. So they do have a little paper backing back here. So this comes off, and now they've got a cling background, and the cling will stick onto any acrylic block. On and off, on and off.
Okay.
100 times. It's so much easier to use an unmounted stamp just for storage reasons, and you know, it's just so much easier to take it with you than things that are on blocks. So you don't need that many acrylic blocks. For your really tiny ones, I would, like the little tiny grasses like this, I would permanently adhere that to a block and just leave it on there. So you don't lose it. You'll be sick if you lost the stamp. Honestly, you would be sick. This is one of the most common stamps. It's just in everything.
Why do I think you're speaking from experience here?
I
lose them.
I am. And I have spent literally 20 minutes more looking for this particular stamp when I have to use it, because these little common elements, they're in everything. They're in absolutely everything. So you do not want to lose that. Okay, so where are we going? Oh, we're doing the bird.
Yep.
Okay, so let's put the little bird out here. And let's just put him on a block. And we can ink him in any color. We can do him in the light color too.
That's right, you said, because you said the bunny was going to be pastel. So we want to keep that light palette.
Keep that light palette. So we've got this little guy up here. And we're going to pull that color. Keep your brush pretty dry. You don't need a lot of color to come out on here. And remember that eye. So even in this little bird, we want to keep that little eye.
With the sepia.
With the sepia, exactly. And actually his little...
Gee, I feel so proud I remembered the sepia.
You did,
now,
I know. I put some little feet on there.
Okay.
Yes. What happens when the feet are on here sometimes is that they get really dark. So it's actually kind of fun to draw them in later.
Gotcha.
And let's just take a little of this blue. So we can put a little of this from the palette, just a light amount. Remember, we're starting where the color is the darkest, and we're dragging it over. And we're going to keep that face light. And it doesn't take much, just a little. Remember, watercolor is the idea of things. And in here.
Okay.
So there we go. Let's add a little more color to that bunny, and we can make him a little darker.
Now, was that sepia?
This is sepia.
Okay.
This is sepia.
Sepia is your favorite.
It is. It is. It really is the magic color. And just a little bit. Remember to feather that out and keep the face the lightest. The face area should be the lightest of the character. And the more that you apply the color, the darker it gets. So it's a bit of a process. You just keep putting the color on. Keep it light.
Okay, add layers if you...
And add layers, that's exactly right. And it'll just get darker and darker.
So sweet.
Isn't that cute? Yes. Be sure to sign. That's a must. Always sign and date. I am a fanatic about that, because every time you do these, they're going to be different. Every single one is going to be different. And something about an original that you have made and created for someone, put it in a little frame, or
I want to get this out.
Put it on a card.
That's just sweet.
Isn't that cute?
So if you wanted to do just the wagon, here's what that could look like.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep. And you could use your grasses in here. You can use your filler flowers on top. There's lots of ways that you can get this look.
Now we did a container piece that I'm not finding. Oh, here it is. Earlier. So if you wanted to, you can take that bunny and let it peek out of the log on its side. And
you can see this now that you've watched that demo. You can see this is sepia. See this color on this log? That's sepia. And it's stamped in that, colors pulled out of the lines. See the vine? Here's that same vine. Here's the grasses, the little filler flowers. It's all the same.
Wow. So here's the bunny peeking out the top of the log. And again, your flowers.
Again, the vines, again, the filler flowers, the grasses. It's all the same.
And here is our little bird going just with the log and all those flowers.
It's amazing how just changing out your colors changes the whole theme. And going to fall is so cute, using the reds and oranges and the olive greens. Pretty. So pretty.
Okay, wow.
There's just no end to it. We could sit here for days, Paulette, and we could just create watercolor paintings over and over again. There's so many combinations, and honestly, they're all just as easy as the first one.
Okay, if you want Bonnie back, be sure to let us know in the comments, and we'll see you next time with more Weekly Webisodes.